Hi there. I wanted to make a sequel to the video that I made about ranking wrestling gimmicks on an axis of good and bad and works and doesn't work. That video was done kind of impromptu. I wasn't exactly ready for it to be made, but I was in the middle of streaming on this channel and people wanted it, so I decided, hey, why not? And it came out pretty well, but I think that it could have had a lot more stuff in it. Now, this video was also recorded on a stream during this channel. It's very irregular. The streams are not a regular thing. Please don't expect the streams to be a regular thing. Don't put that evil on me. And while I think that I got a lot more matches that are a little bit more niche, I wanted to explain some things that I definitely didn't in the first video. Namely being what makes a match good versus what makes a match work, and what I'm looking for when I'm thinking of these matches. What makes a match good and what makes a match work aren't necessarily the same thing. I think that what makes a match good is usually just the idea is workable. In the previous video, I put War Games as a bad match, even though War Games is typically one of the matches with the highest hit rate. But that's because War Games has to be done in a very specific way, as opposed to an Elimination Chamber, which has a lot more variety to it. What makes a match work versus not work is mostly just what they're able to convey with their skill set. Every gimmick has something that they're going for, and if I think that they nail it, but the idea is just bad, then I'm just going to say that it doesn't work. There are obviously exceptions for this, but something like the stretcher match nailing what it's going for doesn't necessarily make the idea good. It just means that they executed on a really bad idea. Lastly, what I was looking for in the first video were things that were transferable. I didn't want to look up specific matches, but rather just look at general ideas. What I went for in this video was kind of a mixture. I wanted more generic matches, but also matches that may have just happened once. I try to eliminate things that are variants in name only, like no holds barred versus no DQ. But as you'll see in the video, there are a few things that will need some explanation. And trust me, I know that I can explain some things. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right onto the list. Before I get into anything further, there were a couple moments from the previous video that I missed. Ones that I didn't have an image for because it was done kind of impromptu. And ones that I mentioned that might have gotten cut but didn't have an image attached to it. So the first thing that we have here is the ambulance match. The ambulance match is a worse version of the stretcher match. So it's down here. A stretcher match is like you put someone on the stretcher and you push them over a line. An ambulance, you put them into an ambulance and then shut the door. Nothing at all is good about the ambulance match. And if you like the ambulance match, you might have liked an ambulance match. You don't like the ambulance match because the ambulance match is very bad. It does not work at all. Then we have the Inferno match. The Inferno match is just a bad idea. So an Inferno match, the fire surrounds the ring and you win by setting the opponent on fire. This never could work. It never could work in a million years. It's like, it's known to be bad. But like, it's actually funny how close it is to working. Like, you'd be surprised. It's down here in Kill Yourself. But you'd be surprised that it's close to working. Because, like, in theory, the exploding barbed wire death match is more extreme. Because, like, a arresting fire versus a bomb. But in practice, the exploding barbed wire death match is a great match that completely works. The Inferno match is like, it looks cool and the idea sounds cool, but with people and like a wrestling match, it's basically whoever is wearing clothes, like MVP versus Kane in an Inferno match. MVP is gonna lose because MVP is wearing clothes. You can't win an Inferno. It's like, you can't suspend your disbelief enough. So it's bad, but you would be surprised that it's not down there with these other ones down here in Kill Yourself. Then it is the Iron Survivor match. Now, I started off the video talking about the Iron Survivor match, and I compared it to the Championship Scramble. And the rules of the Iron Survivor match are what changes it, where the Championship Scramble is the last person to get a fall after 20 minutes. Someone enters every 5 minutes. The Iron Survivor is a cumulative thing, where you get points, and the person who has the most points at the end of 20 minutes is the Iron Survivor. The Iron Survivor match, because it's cumulative,
doesn't work and it's like, I think it's here. Like, I think it's fine. The idea is good, but it really doesn't work. The cumulative nature of it breaks the format enough to say that it doesn't work. But at least you tried to bring back this championship scramble idea, in theory, if not in practice. The last one that I have here before I get into the new ones is the Steel Asylum. This is the domed TNA cage. I like the idea of it, where it's like, you know, it's a domed cage. You climb and you have to get out of the top circle. And everyone knows because Homicide, he couldn't climb it. So I think that in terms of practicality, it doesn't really work. It's bad and it doesn't work because few people can win the match. So the Steel Asylum, I think, doesn't work. I think it is close to being good, but that's just because, you know, I like the way that it looks and I like that it's different. It's not as bad as Ultimate X over there and the King of the Mountain, which are inherently stupid ideas. This is like taking an idea of the cage escape and trying to add a twist on it. It doesn't work only because of physical limitations of people. Now, we are out of things that I have forgotten. We are going to separate our new ones into two categories. There are weird matches that may have only happened once, may have very weird secular rules, and then there's the regular guys. The regular guys, I think, are matches that are pretty common or don't have anything inherently like off-kilter about them. For example, the first one that I have here is the 2 out of 3 falls match. Basically just a regular wrestling match separated over the first person to win 2 matches wins the match. Wins 2 falls. I think that it goes kind of without saying, 2 out of 3 falls, it's good and it works. Like, because it's just iterating slightly on a regular match. Now, there is a variant of it, the 3 stages of hell, where it's 3 different, like, gimmick matches. I think those are dumber. The 3 stages of hell's match with Triple H and Shawn at Armageddon is good because it was like street fight, steel cage, ladder. And, like, street fight is going to favor Triple H. Steel cage might favor Triple H, but it keeps Ric Flair from getting involved. And the ladder match theoretically favors Shawn Michaels, even though I think he lost all of them. So I like that idea, but not everyone is going to have that dynamic. I think 2 out of 3 falls just as an idea, it just works. To me, it's one of those ones that is just like, it's a good idea, and there are just a lot of different ways that you can go with it. The next up is the AEW Casino Battle Royal. Casino Battle Royal is like AEW's variant of the Royal Rumble, where instead of 30 men, it's, I think, 21-man Royal Rumble, Battle Royal, rather, my apologies, a 21-man Battle Royal where 5 people enter at a time, and it's affiliated with, like, gambling. So it's like the suits of, like, so 5 people come out at a time, and that's the jacks, and that's the queens, and that's the kings, like stuff like that. I hate the Royal Rumble. I think it's shit. I think it's a bad idea. The Casino Battle Royal takes the idea of the Royal Rumble that is, like, so antiquated and stupid, and it strips out the parts that people like, which is like, oh, the entrances. And it kind of distills that down into, there's the last one, the 21st, which is the Joker. And that's like your big guy in the match. So you strip out the hour-long Royal Rumble match and distill it down to, there's one guy, that's number 30, that's going to be your big pop, but just enter 5 at a time. Because of that, I don't think it's as bad as the Royal Rumble, but I think it works less. The idea of, like, oh, they enter 5 at a time. It's like, well, if they enter 5 at a time, why don't they enter all 20 at a time? At that point, it's arbitrary. Who cares? Gauntlet match. The gauntlet match is stupid. Everyone who talks about gauntlet matches, they bring up the moment with the Usos and New Day having a gauntlet match. I don't know why that was a gauntlet match. Why does the WWE not want Kofi Kingston to main event WrestleMania? That seems weird. Why was that the story? People bring that up because it's cool. It's like the only good gauntlet match moment. There are 2 stories you can run of the gauntlet match. Valiant and heroic babyface runs the gauntlet. Starts early, has hard matches, comes out the other side, and they look amazing. And then there is that same story, only at the end, a heel comes in and kind of mops up the Valiant babyface. That's every single gauntlet match. It's limiting. It's stupid. I don't know why they happen. It's slanted towards the last people. It's literally just to get over a babyface or a heel. And you might say that's all wrestling matches, but these are so specific and so, like, cynical to me that, no, these are bad. And unfortunately, they're close to working because no one calls out how stupid the idea is. The lumberjack match, I think, is just like an idea of, it's usually singles match, and then there are people outside of the ring to stop guys from running away or to prevent them from cheating. A lumberjack match is kind of weird because in an ideal world, all matches have people with their friends beside the ring. To me, lumberjack match should just be matches because people should just be coming out with their pals and they should be in their corner. That should be every match. But since it's not, I don't know what the fuck to do with a lumberjack match. Like, it's not bad, but I also wouldn't say it's good. Like, it's like here, but I don't know if it works. I don't know. Like, it doesn't really work because I don't know what the point is. It kind of just has people beside the ring, but I don't know what the goal is. And also, the heels just end up cheating anyways. Royal Rampage. This is basically just two battle royals happening at once because they've set the ring up for their War Games match. It's inherently stupid. It doesn't work. Get that out of here. It's like down here, dead ass. It's like here. It's literally just a weird modified double battle royal to capitalize on two rings, and then they get into one ring. It's like, that's stupid. Why did you do that, Tony Khan? What was the reason? Knock that shit off. The Texas Death Match. Now, there are two iterations of this. One, which is, I think AEW just uses this as their last man standing match because the 10 count is what matters to them. The more traditional version is a pin, and then after the pin, you have to get a 10 count. I think that's good and better than Last Man Standing, even though it has like that same clunk problem. My problem with Last Man Standing is that it has to kind of go long, but the finale is always like, oh, he's being made to stay down. A Texas Death Match where you have to pin the guy and then they have to stay down for 10 seconds, I think is a really great like feud ender because it's basically they're dead. Like, you basically are pinning them for 15 seconds. It's like it's like a more insane version of Big E pinning them for 5. I think that it's good and it works. Where does it good and where does it works? I think it's like here because I think that it struggles to get over that hump that Last Man Standing does, where it's like it's got that cluster of it, but like because it's so final, because it's so finite, because you killed that man. To me, that works. To me, I think that's really good. And the last one on the regular guys is the unsanctioned match. Now, I said that I didn't include any regular no DQ matches. And the reason for that is because there's just no DQ matches. Unsanctioned, I think, is a standard no DQ match, but it has like a booking trope to it. Like, it has booking behind it. I think that Ciampa and Gargano on their first match had an unsanctioned match, and it happened after the main event, so it closed the show. I think that that is a really good idea of it because I like the idea that it's like, I think that they should have like the main event, quote unquote, the world title match, and then close. If it's WWE, they put up the logo and everything, and then it starts to fade to black, and then the unsanctioned match should happen. It should be very similar to the end of Camp Rock, where Demi Lovato is banned from competing during Final Jam, and then after the last performance, it's like Final Jam is over, and they're like, hey, it's after Final Jam, can we perform now? And they do, and Demi Lovato sings This Is Me, and then Joe Jonas comes in and he does his part. That's a good version of an unsanctioned match. It should happen, it shouldn't even be like it's not part of the show. As it stands, it kind of like, I liked the idea when Shawn Michaels came back and it's like, oh, it's unsanctioned. So they're like, he's getting around the medical suspension thing. So I want that. I wish that was more the norm, where it was used to like zero liability. But there's no liability in wrestling companies because that's viewed as a hindrance. So I think that in a perfect world, unsanctioned is up by Elimination Chamber, dog collar, shit like that. But in reality, in the reality that we live in, I think it works and it's good, but it's like borderline because it's so, you know, it's so like dependent on what it is that the story is. But I do think it's good. Now that we've done the normal guys, we have to get into the weirdos. The weirdos are matches that may have only happened once, may be a regular match that has kind of novel rules, but I wanted to expand my idea of not just, like, I didn't want to talk about single specific matches, but in this one, the weirdos, I think we can get away with simple matches, with single matches, as long as they are in some way novel. Not all of these are insane hardcore matches, but there's some interesting stuff in here, I think. So the first one that we have here in terms of the weirdos is the Captain's Fall match. Now, a lot of you people, you don't know about the Captain's Fall match because it was held one time on 205 Live. And it was a 4 versus 4 elimination tag match. But with the twist of, it was a match between Drew Gulak. Put him in prison. Put him in the gulag. It was a match between Drew Gulak and somebody. And if they got a pin over the captain, the match was over. So the idea is like, you put in your underlings and try to weaken other guys. The captain might come in, but they're the strongest. But if you get the pin over the captain, then it's over. So it's a modified 8-man elimination tag team match. I love the Captain's Fall match in theory. I think I might just love team sports. I might love crew battles. I love the idea of a Captain's Fall. Like, I think the Captain's Fall match is good. I think it's good. Like, I just think it's a really good idea. But I like it's so weird. I think it's all the way over here, bro. Like, because I define a good match as one that is like workable. You can do anything with it. And the Captain's Fall match, you could do anything. Like, this is how Survivor Series should be, where it's like you have a main headline guy, 2 mid-card guys, 2 bottom rung guys, like, then a tag team. And then it's like the goal is to beat the main event guy. That's how Survivor Series should be. It should all be Captain's Fall matches. In fact, Texas Death is like down here because I think you can do less with Texas Death. I love a Captain's Fall match, brother. Weird match. Very much a weirdo. Not as much of a weirdo, though, as the Dixieland match. Any of y'all know what the Dixieland match is? So, a Dixieland match is a match held in TNA, and when I looked up the story, it was funny because it was like AJ Styles had walked out of the company with the heavyweight championship, so they ran a tournament, but all of the tournament matches had stipulations that were decided by like a wheel. And then I think that at the last before the finals, which was Magnus versus Jeff Hardy, someone broke the wheel. And so Dixie Carter had to make up a match. And on that principle, on that story, I think it's so funny. I think that's hilarious. Because she just made up a nonsense match. So it starts in a steel cage, and the guys have to fight. And the goal is to escape. So there's no pinfall inside the steel cage. So you have to escape the cage, and then you go up the ramp, and you have to climb a ladder because the belt is suspended above the ramp. What? I love the story reason for this existing. It's so funny. It's so funny. the idea of like she just made up a nothing match and called it Dixieland, and then it's insanity. I think that's hysterical, and I love that with all my heart and soul. This is fun. It's stupid, but I think it's stupid on purpose. So I think it works more than you'd think, but it's bad. It's bad because the rules are stupid, but I think you could do more with it than an empty arena match. So she just made up a match that was intentionally It's like at the end of Portal 2 when Wheatley is combining cubes with the turrets to try to like claw its way over to go onto a button to give him the orgasm. She just mangles stuff together and pulls 2 test chambers and crams it together. It's like, all right, this is a new chamber, and it's clearly all mangled and messed up. Story, like, it's dumb on purpose, and that's why it's up here. It's up here because it's like that on purpose. No, it's dumb on purpose. So it works more than the I Quit match. The match itself is dumb. The match itself is stupid, but it's dumb on purpose, and I give it a lot of points for that. The Doomsday Cage. A lot of you might know this as the triple cage match. What? The goal is to get from the top of the cage to the bottom of the cage, and there are men in between. What were they thinking? This is like a joke. This is like a joke that you would hear in the background of a TV show about pro wrestling, where it's like Sunday. See Hulk Hogan versus Randy the Butcher inside of a doomsday cage. 3 cages stacked on top of one another. Who can get down to hell first? Like, it sounds like that. It's just throwing shit around and it's just doing a bit. It's part of this whole cluster, but it's as bad as all of them. This match, I don't actually know if it exists because I found it on Wikipedia. This match is called the Gate of Heaven match. I could find only one match with this name, and it was a 6-man tag team match in Dragon Gate, USA. The concept of the Gate of Heaven match is as follows. It is a 2 out of 3 falls match, 2 out of 3 specifically tag team match. The first fall is standard tag team rules. Hold the rope, tag hand to hand, only one guy legal. The second fall is Wikipedia described it as Dragon Gate tag rules, which are lucha tag rules. If a guy jumps out of the ring, then someone else can get into the ring. Basically, the person who's in the ring is legal. Then, if it gets to a third fall, it's no DQ. I don't know if this is a match stipulation or if this is one match that happened. I love the idea of playing with like a home field advantage. Like when I was talking about the 2 out of 3 falls, like the 3 stages of hell match with Triple H and Shawn Michaels in 2002, where it's like this favors Triple H, this favors Shawn Michaels, this favors this. Gate of Heaven, I think, is like, it is perfect for this tag team. Is like fundamentally sound. They're doing a lot. They're doing the tag matches and that kind of stuff. The other team moves a lot faster. And so there's going to be an inherent advantage balance one way or the other. It's perfect if this is a real match that happened in like Dragon Gate for like a foreigner tag team to come in and the first fall slows the Dragon Gate team down. Then the next match, the next fall, the Dragon Gate team gets to speed up. And then the third fall where you throw out rules altogether. I like the idea of like being able to prepare and strategize for different styles. It's like a 3 stages of hell match, but if there is like, it's a fixed 3 stipulations. I think that it is like, it's good and it works, but it's like here. It doesn't work amazingly, and it's not an amazing good match, but I think it's there because there are just so many ways you can make that work and make that be interesting, in my opinion, that I love the idea of the Gate of Heaven tag team match. The next match is, I put NXT Underground, but this is also, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. It is like a no ropes shoot style-esque match where there's no pinfalls. It's just knockout or submission. I put NXT Underground because I think that despite Bloodsport clearly having like better matches, I think that the atmosphere that NXT Underground was able to do, specifically for the one that I watched, which was Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice, where they basically make it Fight Club. They turn the lights down. They have people ringside banging on the thing. I like the sound. Reminds me of Joshi wrestling, where the seconds will bang on the ring and yell. It's very loud. It feels very energetic. The atmosphere, it feels different. It feels separate. And then the match was really good. But I'm gonna count that like the appeal of it is that same Bloodsport, no ropes, more martial arts based. I like the Bloodsport style. Like, I think that that's interesting. I don't think it works for most people, and I don't think that this is like a universally, like, you can't translate this everywhere. I think it's really good, but I don't think it works. I think it's down here with Last Man Standing because it's so niche and it's so specific, and I think that people could like it if they opened their minds a little more and they broadened their horizons, but I don't think it is as universal as something like, I think Pure Rules is a universal idea that can appeal to everybody as long as it's done, quote unquote, good. NXT Underground, Bloodsport, whatever, it's still so specific and so niche that you're asking people, they have to overcome their preconceived notions about what wrestling is to be able to appreciate it. And the people who do appreciate it will love it, but it's not for everybody. And so I think that means that it doesn't work. This match might be the dumbest one that I've got here today, and that is the Scramble Cage, the ROH Scramble Cage Melee. The rules for this match are so stupid. It was a 4-way elimination cage match, but the cage had planks in the corners on the top of them. And the way you eliminated people was you had to do a dive from the top of the plank onto somebody. That's fucking stupid. And what happened in the match is like 2 of the people just went out injured because that's a stupid stipulation to have. It's so dumb. The idea is so cool. It's like, oh my God, it's a match that is specifically tied around you're going to get big dives. You get Jack Evans. He does a double moonsault or whatever off the cage into the crowd. This is such a, like, it's just 2004 Ring of Honor being like, dude, like they're just smoking weed. Like, dude, what if we had an elimination match where we got to dive off the cage? And no one was around to say, that's a stupid idea. Don't do that. People are going to get injured. It's such a bad idea. It kind of works. I'm going to put it like again on that borderline because the goal of it is big cage spots. And that's what you're going to get. But it's bad because people are going to get injured, and that's what happened. That's stupid. Why did you do that? This match that I want to talk about, I found it again on Wikipedia, and it's so weird, and it's so cool. Like, this could be an entire event by itself, and that is the Thunder Queen Battle. The Thunder Queen Battle was an event that was in 90s Joshi. I don't remember who was involved. You'll have to forgive me. But what the idea was it was a 4v4 Iron Man, like modified Iron Man tag woman, like 8-woman tag match. It was 4 singles matches that had a 5-minute time limit with Iron Man rules in effect. So one person faces one person. They have those 4. That goes for 20 minutes. And then it's a 4v4 Iron Man tag with a 40-minute time limit. So it encapsulates an hour. First time I read this, I didn't see the 4v4 part. I only saw the 1v1v1v1. Like the 1v1s, the 4 1v1s. And I thought that was so cool because what it reminded me of was the Sakuraba grappling competition quintet, which is like, it's 5v5 grappling with each 1v1 has an 8-minute time limit, and it's winner stays. So it's like, this one, number 1 faces number 1. If number 1 on this team beats number 1 on this team, then he faces number 2 on the other team. And it's winner stays. But the modification that makes it cool is with an 8-minute time limit, if they get to that 8-minute time limit, both guys are out. And it works so well, and it makes the grappling competition so cool. So I liked the idea of it being like a crew battle. I thought that was really interesting, and it's like you could really work that into something. I just love team competition. Personally, I think that's interesting. This is a little different in that I think that it's got a lot going for it. I love the idea of this cumulative rivalry. Again, this should be something that, like, this is what a show like Survivor Series should be. If you have to end it in this shit ceremonial tag match that just became War Games, it should be like those 5 people have a match, and then they have a Captain's Fall tag match at the end. It should be an elimination match with like the top guy with like the top guys being the captains. There's so much meat on this bone. It's a little too complicated. I think it's great. I think that it like unquestionably works, but like it's weird. It's a lot of stuff, and I like stuff. This might be a little too much stuff, but you build an event around this. This is not one that you can replicate a lot, so I actually think that it gets a little worse because it's not replicable. But for a payoff to like a big group rivalry, a big faction feud, oh, that's money. That's incredible. You do like you have a whole segment on a weekly TV show where you go back and forth and like, you know, this team of 4, and you basically pick who on the other side is going to face your next up, and you make favorable matches for yourself. Oh man. And then eventually it just ends with like a 2 kind of major one, 2, like you got a big match at the end, and then it goes into the tag match. I love that idea. I think that this should be utilized more frequently, not this specific match, but just this specific idea of crews fighting and making it like a competition and factoring that in and not just doing War Games. This match is one that I know for a fact has happened more than once, but my example of it and the name comes from that. It is the Tomoe Sen match. It was held by Stardom in 2019. It was a triple threat match for the Future of Stardom Championship. And the idea is that you have these 3 wrestlers, and it's a series of winner stays 1v1s. So A versus B, the winner of that, A beats B. A now has to face C. And the winner of the match is the first person who could win 2 consecutive falls. Already, I love that. I think it's remarkably good. It's such a good idea because the way that the match went, and they were doing it with rookies, is the falls are just going to get shorter and shorter because you just have 3 people's dynamic to work with, and you just are able to sell them getting tired, so roll-ups are going to happen more frequently. It's just a good idea. I don't think that it works because wrestling fans hate concepts. They hate ideas, bro. No one wants to see a real street soldier having good ideas. And it showed because when I was looking up the Tomoe Sen match, trying to find what people's impression of it was, there was one website that talked about it, and I don't remember it. It was some blog. It wasn't like a common site, who just talked about how confused they were at the rule set. And I was so mystified by that because to me, the rules are so obvious. It's just winner stays, person who wins 2 in a row. It's so obvious and clear. What's hard to understand about that? Because people are stupid, it's down here in the championship scramble. People are too dumb for this idea, even though I think that idea is wonderful. The last match that we have here today is the TNA Escape match. The TNA Escape match is very silly because it's another one of those TNA makes a match weird. So it's a multi-man steel cage match where it's pinfall elimination. So guys get rid of this guy, until it gets down to the final 2, where it becomes an escape the cage match. This is textbook TNA overthinking it. They overthought it, and they had to make it weird. Dumber than Dixieland, and worse. This is down here and Kill Yourself. It's not abysmal or abhorrent, but like, I don't know what the reason the steel cage match is cool enough. Just make it a multi-man steel cage match, or just like, I don't know what you can do, but it's really stupid. It's dumb as hell. TNA were just in a zone where they were like, why don't we take a regular match and then make it stupid? And that's the attraction. No, it isn't TNA. That's why nobody is interested in innovating in matches anymore. Because you were out here fucking around in the 2000s. Now everyone's scared of being TNA. Don't be like TNA. Go be like anyone else. Or just try something. New things are good. I like how this came out because I thought up a lot of new ones, but there were a lot of people in the chat who brought up different weird ones. Someone earlier was bringing up about the 3 stages of hell match, which I didn't really consider. There's like the reverse battle royal, the stadium stampede, which is an AEW match. There's the kind of the opposite of the empty arena match, which is anarchy in the arena. There's like the cinematic match, which basically may as well be the special guest referee or unsanctioned match, which is just all booking. There are so many matches that I just haven't thought of because I don't talk to anybody about the things that I'm doing. But that's what's interesting about wrestling. So if there are any matches that I forgot about that you don't see represented here on the list, let me know if that would be something that you're interested in. This is a part 2 of a video. I'm not afraid of making a fucking part 3. Thank you for watching.